So we are live. We should allow maybe a couple of more minutes to allow everybody to join. We had an amazing registration for this event. So we were talking 2 weeks ago. I was talking to Rudolf the Skipper. I just found out how to pronounce almost correctly the name. So about 2 weeks ago, we were like, I had this idea, why wouldn't we do this webinar? And in this 2 weeks, we had more than 170 people registered on LinkedIn, plus a big number on Zoom. Maybe we should start. I have the big pleasure. I talked about 2 weeks ago. I invited Rudolf to join us, and super thank you for accepting. We collaborated for a while, and we've known each other for a while. We always had absolutely great discussions. Our agenda for today, please, first of all, I would like to say that we don't want to have this as a commercial marketing presentation. The one that, you go to the website of a product and you get a product discussion and description. So let's make this interactive. You have Q&A. I don't think I was able to enable the chat in Zoom webinars, but you have the Q&A where you can throw questions. I think you can raise hands. Please do, and we would like to have you involved, even participate in the meeting. Also, let's make this interactive. And regarding the agenda as well, we have artificial intelligence as a heart. So basically, artificial intelligence and technology are impacting the whole world, everything that we do. What we want to do now is to tackle the case of technology and artificial intelligence, how they impact public procurement and sales. We are going to talk about very practical applications, what works, what doesn't work. Things like opportunities and challenges with practical examples. And obviously I cannot help talking about Hermix as well and what we do from these particular areas. Some are more like aspirational and some are things that we already have in production, and we have hundreds of users. I think already, how many participants do we have now? We have more than 60 and still joining. So these are things that we are already doing in Hermix, in analyzing data, doing machine learning to provide tender analysis, market intelligence, competition profiles, as well as GPT, text analysis, tender specifications analysis, bid automation, and we are all looking with extreme interest to how artificial intelligence will impact writing proposals. It is the right time to also introduce at this moment our guest. Rudolf is the general manager of Unisys Belgium. We've known each other for quite a while. He also manages and managed for quite a few years the European institutions and international institutions for Unisys. He's expert in project management, risk management, quality assurance, software development, and he actually helped me quite a lot during my PhD. We had a couple of meetings where his insights on how to tackle complexity and risk management were really interesting. We always had fun talking, so we are looking for a nice session. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Stefan. I'll do my best to keep the interest high, and we'll see where it leads us, because of course artificial intelligence is getting a lot of attention these days. Well, these years, I would almost say, but I think in general it's still very hard to say where it will lead us. So there is a lot of investigation, exploration going on. Associated, of course, a lot of doubts, and will this be the end of humanity? I guess we'll be touching on almost everything during this call.
Absolutely. I do have to say we are technical persons, but also we spent quite a few years in doing sales and pre-sales and writing tenders ourselves. So when we talk about technology, it's not only about an abstract application of things in general, but also about the needs and the practical applications. I would propose to, I was thinking to split this discussion maybe in four parts. So first of all, we have two areas, as I was saying, where AI is impacting public sector procurement and sales. So this would be the first two parts. The part of pretty much focused on data, and the second would be the part focused on GPT, text analysis, large language model, stuff like this. And we would really, I will try to get some practical examples on what we do as well. And this might be something like 25, 30 minutes, and hopefully we will get also questions, and as I was saying, make this interactive. So to start, I am fascinated by technology. I've been monitoring as well GPT, and I'm using it for more than, I think, 3 years since it started. It is a big hype, especially, we have ChatGPT and Gemini now, which is coming very strong, and it's a big hype. But as Rudolf was saying, actually 2 days ago, yesterday, many companies start to take it serious, and there was a hype. Some have big expectations and did a lot of tests, and some have obviously reluctance. I was in a conference this morning, and I was asked, what do I think is the biggest barrier in adoption? I think lack of trust and confidence. At the same time, it is transformative. And there are in society certain technologies that are transforming very abruptly the world, like the famous example of horses. Exactly 100 years ago, Ford invented and put into production the Ford Model T. In just a couple of years, Ford cars replaced hundreds of thousands of horses in every city in the modern world in just a few years. Obviously, transportation didn't change, but the method of transportation changed. You still travel, but it's faster, completely different. And we have also a couple of very recent examples. In just a few years, for instance, 50 years ago, we were sending letters. 25 years ago, we were sending emails. Now you have your phone, and you are on the way, you are in your car in the metro, and you are reading emails and sending emails. Or just because Steve Jobs thought, okay, we pretty much have the technology, let's use it differently. And another example, we have now Docs, Google Docs, for instance, and you use, we have been collaborating for writing proposals, even more than 30 persons in the same document. It's something that even 10 years ago was almost impossible. This is transformative. And this is the same way as we have technology transforming these days public sector procurement and sales. Like, for instance, I'm still struggling to find buttons. For instance, examples of practical applications of using big data and data science is that currently you can do, and we are doing, smart matching between tenders, monitoring tenders and understanding where, because there are two big things that you need to answer when you are working in any kind of commercial, but also in the public sector. The first question that you need to answer is, do I want to do this tender? And the second question you need to answer is, how should I do this tender? What kind of partners or technology should I propose? So these are the kind of things that you can do with data, with a lot of data. Because we have currently in Hermix something like 8 million contracts throughout Europe in the public sector cleaned up, for instance, and about 1.2 million company profiles, and 170,000 authority profiles. This allows you to do stuff like strategic planning, create your pipelines for the future, do commercial qualification of tenders, who worked there before, where are the budgets, who is my competition or my best partners, even finding the right partner. Is this a good partner? What did they deliver until now? Do they know the market and the client? And obviously, and this is a very interesting topic, we were actually the price analysis, which is a great topic because there are things that you can do and things you cannot do. For instance, in price, one of the biggest barriers that we face is lack of data. Financial proposals are to a certain extent confidential, as well as technical proposals. So there is data that we have, data that we don't have. Just a couple of examples. So this is how we do monitoring in Hermix. We have also collaboration stuff, but I will just go over them quite fast. These are reports. These are my flagged opportunities. I can share them with my colleagues and stuff like this. And let's go to interesting stuff. Data. This is, for instance, a technical commercial tender analysis. And what project is this? Official portal of the publications office is a tender which is still open. I think the deadline is actually, let me have a look. The deadline is in November, so still time to work on this. So, you have the basic information and stuff like this. But the commercial qualification is goal to see who are the companies that are actually participating, who won before, the number of contracts they won before, and stuff like this. This is the power of data and cleaned up data. And the way to clean up data, lots of things. This is, for instance, the market analysis IT in Luxembourg with volume and value of contracts. With the list of authorities, with the numbers, how many contracts they tendered, and the total value. And you have the same about the winners, right? These are the winners of IT contracts in Luxembourg for the last 8 years that we cleaned up. This is the kind of information that we are cleaning up, for instance. Regarding the pricing, we had an interesting discussion. I actually saw a note from Rudolf. Maybe I will let you open that discussion because it was quite interesting.
Yeah, well, first of all, looking at, let's say, the information that you provide like this, I think it's important to underline that this is publicly available information. And so there's really no magic. It's just that by putting it in a certain way together, using insights, you get as a human being, you get insights that otherwise you probably would be able to get, but at an enormous time investment. And with, let's say, data analysis, machine learning type of technology that you see, all the things become clear very quickly. And this is also where I see currently a lot of effort being expended. Is knowing how to ask the right questions, because I guess everybody in this panel or in this webinar has been playing with ChatGPT, and I think many people also realize that the answer is something that you can easily get, but now the problem is shifting into how do I ask the right question? And that's okay. I mean, since a couple of months, you have these things like prompt engineers it's coming up as a new job, I would say, which is very, very interesting. Nobody thought of that. And so actually we're moving away from, we have one problem and we're looking for an answer. Now the problem is, how am I going to formulate my question in such a way that I'm getting an answer? And the second thing, and this is, I think, specific to AI, is also, can we validate the answer? I guess you all have tried out some things. I mean, very typical example, we've seen, what's it called in GitHub, Copilot GitHub, so the coding assistant. Try asking a question. I need an algorithm, I need a piece of code that does this or that for me. I think in 40% of the cases, you get a piece of code that is actually wrong. And then you end up in a discussion with the AI bot or whatever they have, saying, and basically your second interaction is, thank you for the code, but I think it's wrong. And then the thing answers, you're right, it is wrong. So, well, thank you very much for that. That's
clicking
that's a typical
ChatGPT
thing.
became.
Yeah, but it's a typical thing you don't want to have when you're answering an RFP, because you have one shot. You can't say to the client, but we had the RFP written by AI and it gave me a wrong answer. So we're getting into an interesting dynamic here. And I think it's something we can discuss a bit further. What are, let's say, the strong and the weak points of employing AI today when answering RFPs?
Absolutely. I was thinking to leave questions for last, but this is a nice one, and it is directly related to what we discussed earlier. So I will just take it now. Question: can you see what contracts those companies have won specifically? And yes, the answer is yes. And actually, I can show you. Why wouldn't I show you live? Because I have it open now. Share screen. This one. So I was showing you that for a particular tender, you can look at what contracts were won before, who won them, and so on. Number and value of contracts that were won by each company. You have also the distribution of the geographic distribution where those suppliers are coming from. In this case, obviously, Luxembourg, Belgium are the main places where suppliers are coming from. But you also can have a look at the previous relevant projects. So what exact projects were tendered before, when they were tendered, the duration, the budgets, the winners. And you can drill down. You can click on a tender and you can see all the details of this tender. So more than that, if you click on one of these numbers, like you see, there are 8 contracts signed by entity, let's say. So click, and I opened a report that is showing. This is live. It's quite fast usually. Our application is is faster than I'm talking. I was thinking I left a reply in Ford versus Ferrari. It was, I think, in a speech. A guy said, "I will try to speak even faster than our cars." It's never possible. So these are the 8 contracts that were won in the last 8 years by the entity group. These are the companies in the group that signed contracts, their values, the year, and you can go into details for each of them to see what exact contracts were signed. For instance, this is Cordis. This is the portal for research, and you have here the tab for contracts. And look, contract, consortium, contract, consortium, contract, consortium. So I pretty much already answered to this question. If I would suggest to move on to the second interesting part, because Rudolf already opened the door. So we are living in the world of GPT, right? Large language models. There are, I believe, 4 types of applications that we could be thinking about, like technical qualification of tenders is one, like analyzing requirements, technical requirements, and stuff like this, bid automation and writing proposals. And indeed, it's an interesting topic. How much do you rely on GPT and automated analysis? It's the same, by the way, in data cleanup. We are using machine learning tools to clean up data, and it's never 100% clean. With reading documents, is a bit the same. A lot of our users have told us that they would not rely 100% on the analysis that we are doing, for instance. And I encourage that. I think that using a tool to automate, it's like reading an abstract for a scientific paper. You read the abstract or a review of a book, but if you really want to use that information in your PhD thesis, you actually need to read the book and to read the article. And it's a bit the same with specifications. You have maybe 1-page summary of a tender. We provide this as well. And you can see in 2 minutes if it makes sense or not to participate at that tender. But the question is, actually, I can even show you. Why not? For the same proposal.
Well, it's as you say, Stefan, that's indeed generating a quick abstract from an RFP is often extremely helpful in getting a quick glance. Okay, is this something that we'd be interested in, or is it something that we could do? And as you know, the human eye is very sensitive to discrepancies. And I think the human brain is also very sensitive to discrepancies. So when reading something that looks odd, you go look further, and that's also a very interesting part of, let's say, using AI to draw your attention to something that may look funny.
So I believe we have quite a high level of accuracy for this kind of tender analysis. Our templates and our models, I think, are around 98, 99% accuracy. But indeed, we noticed some issues with context. For instance, sometimes you need broader context to understand and analyze some information. This is an example on the screen of exactly the same tender. This is the tab with the technical tender summary. We answer very quickly to questions like which are the objectives, what's the budget, which are the award criteria. So instead of searching through 500 pages of annexes, which are the experts required, or even the formatting. So you need to have font size Calibri font size 11 for this proposal. Place of performance, Luxembourg, as I was saying earlier. The deliverables and economic and financial capacity, turnover 3.5 million. So you have a short summary. Instead of reading 30 minutes or 2 hours through tender documents, you get a short summary here. The level of accuracy for our tools now is super high. We tested several languages. We provide tender summarization and analysis as well. I tested Slovene, French, obviously English, where the accuracy is also higher, and some other languages, because we have documents from, we are downloading tender notices and documents that are covering the entire Europe, both European institutions, but also the entire Europe through portals like TED, obviously, as well as the EU funding portal, e-tendering, and the Belgian procurement portal, and a few others. Well, this is, and when we get also documents there in various languages. I do, as I was saying, also recommend that when you decided that you want to work for this tender, you actually need to read the tender yourselves. What we have deployed quite recently, I think it was only 1 week ago, right, or something like this, was the chat. So this is where you customize your own type of questions and information. You can put questions like how many CVs must be presented in the technical proposal. These are examples of things, or you can drill down and you can talk to the tender basically, like, okay, there is a machine learning engineer requested. Why? So I would drill down with standard questions like, what are the requirements for these experts? Or in what work packages is this guy involved? And even going to in what services, because there were services. I also, you can also extract numbers. I was testing also how you can extract a number from this. Voila. What is the number of minimum turnover? Give me a number. This is 3.5 million. And I was playing around, you know, Rudolf, you're mentioning earlier that playing and tricking
the prompting,
GPT became prompt engineering, and playing with GPT became a hobby these days. I also tried to play around last week. And look, I asked, give me a joke about this tender. It is a joke. Why did the machine learning engineer refuse to participate in this tender? Because every time they tried to submit a proposal, the documents kept getting overfitted. It is a joke. It is slightly funny. I would say it is kind of like a geeky funny.
I guess the AI finds it funny.
The AI finds it funny. Exactly. The AI is a geek. Huh? So I extrapolated a little bit. I think this one is better. Tell me a joke about public sector sales. Why do public sector sales bring letters to meetings? Because they always want to reach new heights in bureaucracy. This might maybe be a little bit offensive to some people.
Yeah. But it's. I think this is an interesting addition to the tool, because very often, and you have this at various stages when replying to an RFP, is that you come up with these impromptu questions. At the beginning, it's typical questions like, okay, yeah, it looks interesting. How many CVs do we need? Okay, so then if you have that question, you can answer it quickly. But even going further, when you have written your proposal, for example, you could imagine a question like, okay, are we actually answering this requirement? And so you can have another impromptu question to the AI saying, okay, what was this requirement actually about? Or something I guess many people in this webinar have also, when you're in approvals, so you need to talk to your management about things. You always get questions that you didn't exactly see coming. So then it could also be interesting. So okay, you get this question. Okay, let me ask. The AI figures out from the RFP what the thing is about. I mean, you mentioned, okay, what's the place of delivery? Okay, well, I mean, this one obvious, but sometimes it's not obvious if you have multiple locations, for example. And then you would really like to say, okay, you want the whole list? Zip, here it is. So it's about having quick access to data, but also interpret the data. Because as you say, having to root through 25 annexes, it's not fun, it's not productive. It's probably done with the best intentions by the buyer, but it's not always easy to make use of all the information that is present in an RFP. So yeah, there's and one thing is also, maybe we're getting a bit ahead of the game here. You see that there are multiple small AI solutions all playing together in the ecosystem. You have the thing that creates the summary. That's a separate thing. You have the bot that can talk to you, or you can talk to, but it's not one big huge AI that we're looking at. It's little pieces that we use, and that seems to be for the moment also the way the industry is addressing it. So maybe we shouldn't be too worried about AI taking over.
I fully support this. And I mean, first of all, I fully agree with what you said earlier. I think the biggest challenge in public sector sales, and I think in most type of large complex proposal, in the life of large complex proposals, because there are a lot of similarities when trying to sell to a big corporation as well. If you try to sell to Vodafone, a huge worldwide contract, you will invest in the proposal pretty much the same as when you write a 50 million proposal for the European Commission. So one of the big challenges that we have, and I had it as well, and you have it every day as well, is that for writing a proposal, we need to invest tens of thousands of euros. I was talking to a customer actually, and they were saying that they had proposals in which they invested 200,000 euros. Because you need to work with 3, 4, 5 people for 2, 3, 4 months to write the proposal. It's extremely expensive. But even before that, screening, looking every day to, if you are on a niche market, you might get 2, 3 relevant proposals every day. If you are in a larger market, we are screening somewhere around 2,000 proposals per day with Hermix. So now imagine that you receive 5 notices, alerts from whatever system you are using, maybe Hermix or another one, and you need to look at them and say, do I need to do this tender? Is this good for me or not? It takes something like 30 minutes or 2 hours to understand the technical requirements. It takes something like 2 hours or 2 days to understand the commercial environment, the competition, because you want to go to that tender where there is very low competition and a lot of money, and you want to tackle those clients. This is the blue ocean strategy, right? You want to be the biggest shark or the only shark, hopefully, in an ocean full of tuna. So how do you know what is the part of the ocean where there is a lot of money, big budgets, and not so much competition? You need to, I was playing maybe 2 hours for a regular tender, maybe 2, 3 days for an important tender to understand the context. So I fully, and now the cost is huge. And now going to what you said also regarding how you solve these kind of problems. There is no silver bullet. There is no one solution that solves everything and tomorrow everything is better. But we can fit a lot of tools that solve, each of them solve some particular problems and automate some particular problems. This is, fit for purpose. The way we clean up data using also, it was a question here that I will address very swiftly. How do we do data cleanup? How do we use machine learning? Or I think it was also mentioning that do we do machine learning or do we confuse it with basic data analysis? So both. The answer is both. Traditional SQL does a lot of good things. We are not throwing it away. We do a lot of traditional SQL. We do also a lot of scoring. We're using traditional Levenshtein distances between words and stuff like this. But we also go for other purposes, as I have shown earlier, to things like semantic context summarization, or as well as translation, by the way. You can translate requirements with our tool, and I have tested it. You can take a tender document, some tender documents issued in, that's why I was saying I tested Slovene and French. So I took some tenders in Slovene, and I asked, we configured our tool to not only summarize but also translate to English, and it works quite nicely. Obviously, you cannot do this with traditional tools, with traditional SQL. We do also graph analysis. So analysis of subgraphs and distances between nodes, because the world can be simulated. This is geek talk, but basically the world can be simulated with a huge graph where you have nodes. In the nodes, you have clients and suppliers, so authorities, contractors, and you have links between them, which are basically contracts. So you have suppliers linked to partners, and they are linked in a consortium, and they are linked to some clients. So we do also graph analysis to detect subgraphs and to detect anomalies and companies that typically work with other companies. And yes, we also do machine learning. We have a lot of cleaned up data, and we are using our own cleaned up data to train also ML tools. We have some very nice collaborations. We are working on this. For instance, we have an Eureka project with the University of Luxembourg with Professor Radstad, a great collaboration. And we are working with them exactly on some particular sets of data using ML tools to extract intelligence. So the answer is pretty much both. And there was another question that I could take why not? If we make this interactive, I hope it doesn't disturb anybody that we are jumping around, but it was a question related to my previous screen, how are partnerships consortiums displayed? I do have an issue about if I should call it consortium or consortia. I think it's consortia. So how they are displayed. Let me show you. So I have, for instance, I'm looking at, how do I share the screen? Share, here. So this is the analysis of the market, for instance, right? I showed it before, value numbers of contracts, geographic locations of the clients. I was filtering on Luxembourg. I can go even to the market of suppliers in a particular market. And let's say you want to analyze one particular company. And I have an example here. I was looking earlier at Ampherop. There's a company in Luxembourg, Solid. I've been working with them. For instance, these are their top clients. Right? And you can go into more details. You can see, this is the partnership analysis for this company. So this is the history of partnerships for the last 8 years. These are their most important partners. For each of them, you can just click and see in what contracts did they work together. These are the contracts where they worked together. Or you can go to, you have a graph as well. We have a graph display as well. It is configurable. You can select the depth level and the number of partners to be displayed per level. This is level 2, number of partners, first level 10, second level 5. These graphs can be quite crowded. So you need to have a balance between showing a lot of information or less information. So here we display only the top 10 and top 5 for level 2. Otherwise, it would be quite difficult to read. You have here the most important partners and the history with each partner. Here is all the competition. This is the way we show competition analysis. Displaying is not the difficult part. I mean, okay, ergonomics is critical and it's important. And we have these shortcuts everywhere. Like I have my saved reports here. I can share my saved reports with my colleagues. I can save any report as a bookmark. I can set filters and reports and so on. So ergonomics is very important. As I was saying, if you spend 90% of your time doing this kind of things that I'm doing now, ergonomics and shortcuts are really important. But the difficult thing and the thing that we really do different is data cleanup, having these profiles rather than displaying them. So this is another example. I was also looking into Unisys, which is one of the most reputed companies in the world and for European institutions. For instance, this is the analysis of their partners and their history and so on. So I hope I answered already the example. Was there another one? Was there another question? Where is the QA? QA. No, I think, yeah, and the tool to analyze tender documents works only for online published tenders. At this moment, what we have in production works on online published tenders. What we are working on, and it's not in production yet, so if you get an account to our platform, please write to us. You have a sign up on our website, you can sign up and you can contact us to have a meeting. I can do a more commercial presentation then, and we can go into more details. So if you sign up and you create a user for Hermix, you will be able to analyze and work with the online published tenders. Those that we download every day, we index every day, we analyze every day, actually 4 times a day. And those are accessible for your analysis as well. What we are working on, but it's still in prototype stage, not deployed to all users, is indeed to add your own document. Regarding second stage procedure, these are pretty much your own documents because second stage procedures or specific orders or requests in a framework contract are not publicly available, and sometimes they are even confidential. It's the same. I have a question from George Parton. Thank you. Lovely to see you here. Is information on consortium partnerships available only for awarded contracts or also for those submitted with no awards? We have the public information, so it's the same answer. Most of the times, information about prices or about unsuccessful proposals are not really public, and sometimes they are even confidential. So for the proposal submitted without an award, we typically that kind of information is not disclosed, so we don't have it either. I would like to challenge Rudolf about what he said earlier, and I actually created a screen on this. Is AI the beginning of the end? We had 1 week ago a few minutes discussion when we were asking ourselves what are we going to talk about, and I loved this. I had to put it on the screen. You are asking, but I will let you go into more details.
It's something, and I mean, discussing now and seeing how things evolve. We can already look a bit into the future. So of course, so today we are looking at summarizing RFPs, generating requirements out of our RFPs, getting answers out of published RFPs, etc. Of course, the next step is can we use AI to actually write RFPs? Because if AI is so good of extracting requirements, you can easily imagine an AI that has sufficient knowledge of, let's say, our company to say, I can fit answers. Actually, we are experimenting with these things already in a bit of let's say a side project to see, can we actually generate text that makes sense. Current situation is well, I would say in the middle. It works great to generate text. It works less great to generate text that will move the needle, I would say. But okay, I mean, I guess we'll get there. But then thinking further, of course, you say, well, client is not stupid either. They will probably use AI to evaluate our tenders. So, and then the next step will be, well, next time they may use AI to actually write an RFP for us. So then the circle is perfectly circular. We're back to square one, that we have a machinery that is basically pumping information around. And then the question is, of course, okay, based on what are we going to win or lose a contract? On the quality of the AI that we applied, on the prompts that we see send the AI, or maybe that whole thing becomes completely irrelevant and we end up with a 100% pure price-based market, which is incidentally something we start seeing already a little bit. And then, of course, the next question is, okay, but can we use AI to put our prices together? Which is yet another topic we haven't discussed, but I think we're a bit too far ahead in time that maybe that's something we need to rediscuss in a couple of years too, when we all have known and understood a bit more about how these things work. But overall, it's a bit dystopic, I know, I realize, but it's also a bit the way the world goes. Okay,
it's an interesting discussion about going to price-only evaluation. With or without AI, we see this more and more in the practice as well. For instance, this is the latest tender issued by Digitaxud. This is the tender is external service providers. It's the former Timea, huge tender. I think it's the first time Taxud is issuing 100% only price evaluated tender. It's huge. See, the turnover requested is 20 million. This is a trend that is coming from effort and from the fact that, you know, LinkedIn these days became I think I read this even on LinkedIn. All the messages on LinkedIn seem to be created by AI. So now you have AI, marketing departments are using AI GPT tools to create corporate messages that they post on LinkedIn, and at a certain moment they will also be read by robots as well. But I don't think that GPT created this, because posts on LinkedIn have always been boring. Even when humans were writing them, you know, they were still like generated by robots. And it's pretty much the same with proposals. You have a huge effort to write a proposal manually. But the question is, how do you differentiate? Because you can have people writing like robots as well. And a lot of the proposals for European institutions and in the public sector, I remember that 20 years ago, we were writing proposals of 1,000 or 2,000 pages. And obviously, nobody was reading that. Now, more and more, there are limits. And the same with CVs. I worked, I think, on DG RTD and DG Home on some, we did work on a DG Home tender, I think, lots of years ago. And they were asking for 400 CVs. Who the hell is looking at 400 CVs to evaluate them? And now these things, the processes change a little bit in parallel with technology, but they are also supported by technology. So, you know, I personally support, so we are kind of like looking at the problem from two extreme sides. One is a utopic view that we have computers coming and saving the world. Everything will be different. Everything will be new. Nobody will write proposals anymore. The hunger problem is solved. We have robots working the fields. Everybody has food and stuff like this. And in the public procurement market, we could think the same. Okay, I don't need to write proposals anymore because we have robots and we paid for the robots. And we have also the dystopic. This becomes a little bit dystopic at a certain moment with the question. So are robots and AI going to take our jobs and to create unemployment? This is the Terminator Skynet vision. where the computer decides that humans are actually bad things. I personally like more the Asimov view, not the Karel Čapek view of the robot. You know, the word robot was invented by Karel Čapek, a Czech writer, in 1920, so 104 years ago, in the novel The Universal Robots of Rossum, I think. And obviously, those robots were kind of like Frankenstein. They were in the Frankenstein paradigm. I personally like more the Asimov vision on the friendly robot that is helping you. And this is my approach to technology and AI and GPT tools in public procurement as well. It's the same way as in accounting, a lot of the manual work was already replaced by robots like OCR, which by the way also uses artificial intelligence and neural networks basically. And also invoices are now they start to be automated and digital. But this doesn't mean that the accountant job disappeared. No, we still have accountants, but they do more smart things. Obviously, those jobs that are in peril are those of the incompetence. If your only skill is to type text and invoices without understanding or producing anything more valuable than transferring text from paper to computers, yeah, your job might, but in practice, technology allows us to be smarter, to work smarter, more efficient. You are no longer a clerk, you become an accountant, and then you will no longer be an accountant, you will become a financial analyst. And talking about accounting and balance reports and balance sheets, I think 2 years ago I attended a conference. I think the organizer, the guest was Nicolas Taleb. I love the guy. He's the guy who invented the concept of black swan, and he's a fan of long tails and anti-fragility. So very smart guy, mathematician. So he had somebody from the audience who was asking, do I need to use AI for everything? This was, I think, 2 years ago. Because the guy said, look, we are producing automatically accounting reports and balance sheets for our customers. We have a platform, a SaaS platform, you give us our balance sheet and we produce you the text describing. And he said, we do not use AI. For several reasons. First of all, because we are not allowed to make any kind of mistakes. You cannot put a wrong number in an accounting report. And second of all, because it works. Because accounting is a world based on very clear rules. Very clear rules and interpretations can be very well modeled with mathematical formula. So they use no automatically generated text. They have rules. They have a set of a few hundreds or thousands of lines, and they combine those lines in reports based on rules. Because accounting is a very clear science. So not all technologies are useful for everything. I think we have 10 more minutes. I will have a look.
There was an interesting remark by Lore, so the price can only apply for standard goods and services. I think I wholeheartedly agree on that.
Yes,
and
me too.
It makes you
Great
think,
observation.
Makes you think about what, let's say, the client has in mind when they do a price-only RFP. So it probably means that they indeed consider what they want to buy as a standard good or standard service. Okay, very, very procedural, as you say, a bunch of rules, as you mentioned, and nothing else. And then we say, okay, for creative and strategic services, price-only evaluations will lead to quality. I tend to agree as well. The word creative struck me. We discussed it yesterday, Stefan. What does creative mean? When you see AI generating beautiful pictures, and then the question is, okay, is this something that we would call creative, or is it just rehashing stuff that's already there in such a way that we've never seen before? Another webinar, maybe. What does creative mean? still, I would say for the
Absolutely.
technological solution that is really creative, at the moment, I still doubt if AI would be able to produce it.
Absolutely. There are 2 points to this. One is the analysis of price. Thank you for the observation, Lord. Lovely to see you here. Looking forward to see you face to face as well. So, me too, I fully agree. You can apply pricing and price evaluation to standard goods and services. And this is one of the issues that where public procurement is balancing a little bit more towards technical evaluation, more towards price evaluation, obviously. For creative, strategic, or I would like to say complex projects, because I told you my passion, complexity, IT project complexity. It's very difficult to say, to evaluate, to estimate, and to compare prices for non-standard, creative, or complex environments. And the second observation, obviously, AI is only as good as the humans that manage it. I strongly believe that artificial intelligence is only a tool. And you can use it for good things and for bad things. And we have examples of bad applications. And this is the same with any kind of technology. I mean, even a tractor, if you want to use it in a bad way, you can use it in a bad way. It's a little bit the same with technology as well. And talking about creativity and about technology being used rather as a tool to meet an end, which is the objective here, to win tenders, to have the best technical and financial proposal and to win tenders. From the client's perspective, the objective is to have the best supplier, the best solution at the cheapest price. So this is pretty much the objective. How you get there is how you use tools. And talking about if the tender requirements are written by GPT, if all the proposals are written by GPT, how do you differentiate? In my opinion, differentiation is exactly creativity. I believe that you need a human mind, a team of smart people, technical architects, visionaries, guys that are, creative persons that are able to come with original ideas, with original solutions, with intelligent architectures. And then, yes, you can use tools to put them into paper. You can use generative images, technology to create a diagram, or GPT to write a summary, or to translate a text, or to correct spelling, which is possible for at least 30 years, I think, even without GPT. So yeah, you use a set of tools to help you write the best proposal, but you need the humans to control the process and to have the original ideas, because that's important. And we jumped over this typical, how should I put it, fallacies, but people believe that GPT creates solutions, sometimes believe that GPT creates solutions and it is creative. No, it's not. It just compiled existing texts. I realized this morning that I saw somebody on social media answering to a question quoting ChatGPT. And I realized that we are moving from the world of let me Google this for you to the world of let me ask ChatGPT this for you. And in a lot of cases, ChatGPT answers, and most cases it answers accurately. But it is a compilation of existing text, of existing information. ChatGPT will not be able to create an original content, even if sometimes we like to personify it, either to give it awareness or conscience or intentionality. No, it doesn't. GPT just compiles words, and we can use it or not in a good way. There is another question about how we do graph analysis. It's graph analysis. It's stuff that I learned in high school and in university 25, 30 years ago. Distances, stuff like this, greedy algorithms and stuff like this. We calculate distances in nodes. For instance, the distance between two nodes can be the number of contracts signed between two partners and the value of the contracts. And we have scoring, and that's graph analysis. And subgraphs, mathematics. I would love to talk this more in detail. I don't know who asked this question, but you can contact, because it's anonymous, but you can contact me. Wow, there are a lot of questions coming. So, isn't AI forbidden by organizations for the reduction of proposals? I don't think so. AI is not forbidden. They tried to forbid AI in Italy when ChatGPT appeared the first time, the first version 3 or something like this. And they did ban it in New York for a month in all the public schools. Schools is different. In schools, in some schools, you are allowed to forbid some books, especially in the US. And in some schools, in a lot of schools, especially for small kids, you can forbid phones. So yes, in schools in New York, they did forbid AI for a while. In organizations, I don't think so. Never heard about this. And I think it is a useful tool. And we are every day using AI. We are, again, not aware of this. But everything we are doing now is AI. We are working with in Zoom. You have a button in Zoom and the button on your phone to create automatically transcriptions. So, or translations. You have a button in your browser, you click on a button and say, translate this to German. That's AI. That's a GPT today behind. And before it was, before GPT, it was still some form of AI that were doing translations or summaries or transcriptions, voice to speech, voice to text, text to speech. It's AI. So we are using it every day already. I don't know of organizations that are forbidding proposals. I encourage, I don't agree that we should only use AI, exactly because I don't think it is creative and smart enough and doesn't understand the context. Razvan, thank you for your comment. Indeed, the Publications Office open tender, which is currently open, it is indeed a modern public authority. They are embracing AI for efficient public services. Yes, thank you for your comment. It is a great client to work for. The Publications Office, and you were one of the first to integrate AI and GPT not only internally but also externally in the portal. Congratulations for this, lovely, and we are learning from what you are doing as well. Only hope that this kind of new technologies would be embraced more and more by more authorities, because it is a fact that we are talking here mostly with the private sector. It is a fact that the private sector moves faster from a lot of reasons, and some of them are actually good reasons. Oh, 3 more questions just jumped in, and we have only 2 more minutes. What is the general current position of EU procurement towards the use of AI-generated tenders? I honestly don't know. I don't know if anybody knows. If anyone wants to jump in, please let me know. I don't know what authorities think about AI-generated tenders. I have no idea. If Rudolf, if you know anything, and I don't even think that it is. Maybe it's not even a general consensus on this.
I suspect there is no general consensus on it on the one hand, because I mean, if I would be in the shoes of, let's say, the completely objective buyer, say, well, if you think you can make the best offer using AI, be my guest. If I would be a more human-centric buyer, I would say, not ever in my life I want you to sweat on this RFP. Both have merit. It's hard to say, but I don't think there is any official statement that says thou shalt not use AI. I mean, no, I don't think so.
Yes, I think our time is, we have 30 more seconds or something. Question, will you share the recording of this? Please answer yes. If you registered, even if you could not attend to the whole duration, we will send you the recording. It might take 1 or 2 days to get it downloaded and to eliminate the big mistakes that I did during the presentation. Super, thank you for joining us today. We had an amazing audience, a bit more than 70 people present throughout this 1 hour. It was fun. thank you for joining and for participating and for all these questions. Please contact us. You have our contacts. Obviously, you can find us very easily on LinkedIn, for instance, all of these that participated now today. And we would love to meet, to talk to you. I would like to ask, please send us ideas for the next webinars. I hope it was fun and interesting for you as it was for us. We would like to continue this. Your feedback would be invaluable. Send us suggestions of who we should talk to on the format. The format that we took today was a standard Zoom webinar, where I personally believe that it is less interactive than a normal conference. So your feedback on this would be also lovely. Do you think that the format should be more open, like a normal Zoom conference, where you can talk to anybody, you can send chats everywhere, stuff like this? In this tool, we were not able to do it. Also, we are open to create accounts in our platform. We allow free accounts. You can also sign up for trial accounts for a couple of weeks to get full access to all the enterprise features as well of Hermix. I think this was it from my side. Super, thank you for being here. I loved it.
Thank you for having me, as we say.